our topic of discussion is glycogen synthesis and glycogenolysis. So what is glycogen? Glycogen is basically a polysaccharide molecule formed by a chain of glucose molecules which are joined by both alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6 glycosyl bonds or glycosyl bonding. So this glycogen molecule, which is the primary storage form in animals, is the one of the most predominant carbohydrate molecule which is found in the animal kingdom. So this glycogen molecule is basically a chain of carbohydrate molecule, or rather glucose molecule, having both alpha 1,4 and 1,6 glycosyl residues. So coming to its synthesis, this glycogen synthesis basically takes place in an animal or in a cell when it is in a well-fed condition, or where there is enough amount of insulin in the body, which occurs primarily after a diet which is rich in carbohydrate molecule, or a diet which contains a lot of carbohydrate. In this condition, when the body has a lot of energy, then the glycogen synthesis process is stimulated. And when the body has got a depletion of energy, or when the ATP concentration in our body is decreased, then the body undergoes a process called the glycogenolysis, where the glycogen molecule is degraded to form glucose residue and finally enter the lipolysis process, so that the energy can be restored, or the normal blood glucose level can be restored. So now first coming to the process of glycogenesis. The glycogenesis process requires glucose 6-phosphate. Requires glucose 6-phosphate as the primary substrate. This glucose 6-phosphate, which is first acted upon by the enzyme phosphoglucomutase. Glucose 6-phosphate, which when acted upon by phosphoglucomutase, first of all gives glucose 1,6 bisphosphate. This glucose 1,6 bisphosphate, this phosphate group, is basically coming from the enzyme itself. The second phosphate which we are getting is actually derived from the enzyme. So the enzyme undergoes a dephosphorylation. This phosphate group finally binds to glucose 6 molecule, and finally we get glucose 1,6 bisphosphate, and finally it gives rise to a molecule called glucose 1-phosphate. So finally at the end of the first step, and the enzyme remains the same. In this step again, this glucose from the 6th position of the glucose 1,6 bisphosphate gets attached to the serine residue of the phosphoglucomutase molecule, and finally the enzyme comes back to its original state, finally giving rise to a structure with a molecule which is known as the glucose 1-phosphate. So in this first step, we are getting glucose 6-phosphate molecule, which is getting transferred or getting transformed into glucose 1-phosphate. Next, this glucose 1-phosphate which is being formed. So if you want to know the structures, so the structures are and this will finally give rise to this structure. So this is the structure of glucose 1-phosphate. So this is glucose 6-phosphate, which finally gives rise to glucose 1-phosphate by the help of enzyme phosphoglucomutase. This enzyme at the same time requires PLP as a cofactor. PLP is required, a pyridoxal phosphate is required as a cofactor for this enzyme. Next, this glucose 1-phosphate is acted upon by uridine UTP to form what is known as UDP glucose. With the help of enzyme UDP pyrophosphorylase. UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase. UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase to form UDP glucose. So here we are getting glucose 1-phosphate, which when acted upon by UTP, uridine triphosphate, with the help of enzyme UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase forms UDP glucose. This UDP glucose is actually more UDP glucose actually favors the glycogen synthesis more than that of the glucose 1-phosphate. So it's very important to form this UDP glucose molecule. This UDP glucose molecule which has been formed is then acted upon by here now we require a protein which is a glycogenin protein. Glycogenin protein is a protein which is required for the formation of glycogen, and this glycogenin protein has got 4 consecutive glucose molecules joined by alpha 1,4 linkage to form a initiator polysaccharide chain, which is having 4 glucose molecules which are bound together by alpha 1,4 linkages, which is required as a primer for the synthesis of the glycogen molecule. So this glycogenin primer, glycogenin protein, along with the 4 chains of the glycosyl chain which is formed, reacts with UDP glucose, to finally give glycogen molecule. If this was suppose a N chain, it is giving N+1 chain. So this we are getting finally a glycogen molecule which is having N+1 chain, or having just one more chain than the previously acquired glycogen. So this is how we are finally forming this glycogen molecule. Here we require an enzyme which is known as glycogen synthase. So this glycogen synthase is an important molecule for the formation of the alpha 1,4 glycosyl bond. Alpha 1,4 glycosyl bond is formed by the glycogen synthase. For the formation of the 1,6 bond, we require another molecule called alpha 1,4,1,6 glycosyl transferase. This is another enzyme which is required for the formation of alpha 1,6 bond which is present in the glycogen molecule. So these 2 enzymes are key enzymes for the formation of glycogen, and this is required for the formation of glycogen. This glycogen synthase, as we have already discussed, that the glycogen synthesis process is stimulated when we have high amount of insulin. When there is insulin is increased, then the glycogen synthesis process or glycogenesis process is stimulated. So when the insulin is increased, insulin stimulated pKa molecule, or it stimulates the phosphoprotein phosphatase molecule. It stimulates the phosphoprotein phosphatase molecule. So the glycogen synthesis is more, it's activated when this means the glycogen synthesis is active in its dephosphorylated state when it is undergone a reaction from its inactive state by the enzyme phosphoprotein phosphatase, which is stimulated by insulin. So this insulin dependent phosphoprotein phosphatase will transform glycogen synthase from its inactive form to its active form. So this active form will lead to the formation of this glycogen molecule, which is ultimately the end product of the glycogenesis process. Now, so this is what we have, and so we all know that for the regulation purpose, it is stimulated by a high insulin level, which means the ATP concentration is high. So when ATP concentration is high in the diet, then only this step will be stimulated. Moreover, when there is high amount of glucose 6-phosphate in the diet, then also this process is stimulated. So glucose 6-phosphate, ATP and insulin, these are the factors which is required for the formation of glycogen or the glycogen synthesis process to take. Now coming to the glycogen degradation or glycogenolysis process. Here we have a glycogen molecule which is having, these are the alpha 1,4 linkages which are present, and these are the alpha 1,6 linkages which are present. So these are the alpha 1,4, these are the alpha 1,6 linkages. Now this glycogen molecule first is acted upon by an enzyme called the glycogen phosphorylase, which is a PLP requiring enzyme, which is pyridoxal 5' phosphate, and this glycogen is required for the breakdown of the glucose molecules which are joined by alpha 1,4 linkages. The breakdown of glucose molecule takes place up till a point where there is 3 molecules of glucose, rather 4 molecules of glucose attached to the branch point. So if degradation takes place, this is degraded, or that is removed, and subsequently up to this, these two are removed. This structure which is remaining is basically known as form, which is the limit dextrin. When the glycogen phosphorylase degrades the glycogen molecule up to 4 residues present in a glycogen chain, it is known as limit dextrin. Now this glycogen phosphorylase finally gives rise to limit dextrin, and so for the subsequent steps, or the steps which are performed by the glycogen phosphorylase, we get a product which is glucose 1-phosphate. In every step we are getting a glucose 1-phosphate only. Glucose 1-phosphate. Now the next enzyme which is acted upon on the glycogen molecule is a debranching enzyme, which is also known as the alpha 1,6 glucosidase. The enzyme is alpha 1,6 glucosidase. This alpha 1,6 glucosidase is responsible for the transfer of these 3 alpha 1,6 linked glycogen molecule to its non-reducing end. So it is a transfers these glucose 1,6 linked molecule to the non-reducing end, and now this molecule which is formed is going to have the glucose molecule in the alpha chain, just with one molecule which is attached. Only one molecule is attached which is having a 1,6 linkage. So this debranching enzyme or alpha 1,6 glucosidase will cleave this, and this will be released as free glucose. All others are released as glucose 1-phosphate, whereas this glucose, which is the branching point or the branch point of glycogen molecule where the first alpha 1,6 linkage is present, will be released as glucose. All others are released as glucose 1-phosphate. Now this straight chain is again acted upon by glycogen phosphorylase and give rise to glucose 1-phosphate. So we get all as glucose 1-phosphate except for the one which is present here as glucose. Only one molecule of glucose is present and all others are glucose 1-phosphate. For the breakdown of glycogen to glucose or glucose 1-phosphate, we finally do not waste any energy as such, because it does not require any energy, and these reactants finally they enter into the glycolysis pathway and they generate 2 ATP molecules. So finally it gives rise to 2 molecules of ATP which is generated by the glycogenolysis process. Here, the most important enzyme for the glycogenolysis is the glycogen phosphorylase. This glycogen phosphorylase, as we all know, this glycogenolysis is activated when the glucagon concentration in our body is increased, when ATP concentration is low and the AMP concentration is high. So glucagon, as we all know, helps in the secretion of pKa or protein kinase A, which has a tendency to phosphorylate. So this glycogen phosphorylase is a glycogen phosphorylase having two forms. Glycogen phosphorylase has two forms. So when acted upon by pKa, it gets phosphorylated to form glycogen phosphorylase activated form. So to get the activated form of glycogen phosphorylase, we require the presence of pKa or protein kinase A, which will carry on the phosphorylation process. This is stimulated by glucagon and AMP dependent. Moreover, the glycogen phosphorylase also has got a positive effect and has a positive effect on calcium. Therefore, calcium also stimulates the phosphorylation, or calcium also stimulates the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase, and therefore the pathway is stimulated. So this calcium which is formed here, this calcium will finally be used up with this calcium which is released in the muscle contraction. This is produced by muscle contraction, also stimulates the process of glycogenolysis. So the calcium is an important factor which plays an important role in the glycogenolysis process. So coming back once more, the glucagon concentration is high, ATP concentration low, AMP concentration is high. So it stimulates protein kinase A. Glycogen phosphorylase inactive state is converted to active state by the help of enzyme pKa, which is a phosphorylated form, and therefore this phosphorylated form is acted upon by the glycogen molecule to convert it to glucose 1-phosphate and the subsequent steps. Moreover, the glycogen phosphorylase is also having an active site for calcium atom, calcium which is released due to muscle contraction, and therefore this molecule, which is the calcium ion which is released due to muscle contraction, is acting upon the glycogen phosphorylase and will activate the pathway of glycogen degradation. So this is how we have come to know that muscle contraction is also dependent upon the means it's dependent on the glycogen degradation.